Yeah, here's a live one. I don't know. We don't usually just do the live ones on Saturday, but I guess you only turn out. What the? Come on. I hate Google. Copy.
I like how for Hangouts on there, there's one little random button like in the bottom left-hand corner. That's the only one you can actually broadcast them on.
It's ridiculous. Here we go. That's the YouTube link. Oh my goodness. Shit. All right.
Okay.
And this is the Google Hangouts. If people want to come chill in the chat.
All right.
All right, I'm going to get started. Welcome back to Dude Podcast. As always, I'm Daniel Palmer at dpalm66 on Twitter. Coming to you guys live with a nice NBA recap of the finals that was. As always, find us on iTunes, Stitcher. Give us 5 stars. We'll read your reviews. I've got with me someone who's on here and heard me make some Miami Heat claims. Chad Floyd, what's up, man?
Not too much. I want to say it's a little level of Schadenfreude right now, being right. Although I didn't realize just how right I was going to be, so I feel like I kind of undersold it when we did the preview. But other than that, life is good.
See, all I had to do was leave you off the email and not have to hear this shit today. Anyway, we got Justin on, LJ90 on Twitter. Justin, what's going on, man?
What's going on? What's going on? I gotta say, I woke up this morning and I was like, did last night really happen? Like, did we really just drum the 2-time defending champions back to back? Like, it's one thing to blow them out one game. When you give someone to beat them down 3 nights in a row, that you just got to take a step back and marvel at what just happened.
See, I'm not even giving a chance to ease into this nonsense. Apparently, Justin's come out both barrels blazing, which is fine. It's your prerogative. I respect it. But, yeah, I was on this podcast 2 weeks ago. I called it the Heat in 6. I've been wronger on this podcast. I just don't know when. Because, like Justin said, that wasn't even entertaining. It was entertaining for y'all, I bet, for people who may have picked or supported the Spurs.
There's no way I can quantify the level of catharsis. Not only beating the Heat like that in Miami after what went down in Game 6 and 7, but clinching at home, just in front of that crowd. That was amazing. And the way they did. We had Aaron Baines out there with like 5 minutes left in the game. Our human victory cigar came out like, okay, yeah, this is over. Just
In the Heat's defense, the human victory blunt, Michael Beasley, took the sword too. So you can't really throw stones. All right, let's get to the meat of the matter. I thought I was mad on the hangover when I found out that the Falcons were going to be the Hard Knocks team. I thought I was upset and dejected, and then Sunday night happened. And I stand before you all now a broken and miserable man. The last 3 games, just to touch on it. Chad, have you ever seen – Chad, you're from North Carolina. You went to UNC. You know, you're a basketball guy. We live together. We're basketball people. Have you ever seen offensive execution like that?
It was basketball perfection. Game 3 during the Spurs 40-whatever first point first quarter, which
41-25.
It's an NBA defense that has been one of the best defenses in the league for quite some time. They had a possession where within about 5 seconds, every Spurs player touched the ball never touched the ground, and Kawhi Leonard ended up with a wide-open 3. It was just art. Like, we talk about how awesome Popovich is, but this is just on a whole nother level. It was just so beautiful, it was just mean and kind of disrespectful to the Heat.
Right. And it's almost like they figured out what went wrong, not just last season against the Heat, but also the main problem they've had all year. Rick Carlisle said, okay, fine, you guys love to move the ball, you guys love to get these open looks. We are going to force you to spread, we're going to put length on the floor, and we're going to make you get your shots. We're not going to give you the shots. We're going to force you to actually dribble and put the ball on the ground. Because for whatever reason, this year, the Spurs did not like putting the ball on the ground. They said, fine, we just have to find better ways at getting the looks we want. So that when Dallas pushed us to 7, Rick Carlisle essentially said, look, we know your weaknesses. Tony Parker can't defend at this age.
It's true.
Putting the ball on the ground, you really only have 2 guys qualified to do that. So we're going to force you to get the ball out of his hands, and we're going to force you to get looks. We're not going to just trap you like what Miami loves to do. Miami loves to be aggressive with their defense. They love to trap. They love to sort of force you into a corner. which is bad against the Spurs. Like, everything the Heat excel at is the worst thing to do against this San Antonio team, right?
And that's the thing. In 5 games, I don't remember seeing a missed 3 from Kawhi Leonard, Manu Ginobili, or Danny Green, and they got a lot of them because Miami was trapping out top and leaving.
Right.
It's when you trap there early and you don't have the speed to. And it's the 2 things. One is the Heat got old. Like we all watched Dwayne Wade die, right? This was a 3-game.
Somebody's got to take him out back.
Recession, correct? I mean, at this point Dwayne Wade's done. He's a 6-man maybe. But when you trap like that, you don't have speed to recover. That's what happens. You get open looks, and the fact that there were 5 live guys for the Spurs at all times. Like every group of 5, someone's in danger to score. All 5 of them, and that was hard for me to watch. I'm being honest here. I'm not a Spurs or Heat fan. Neither is Chad. It's refreshing to hear a Spurs fan just get this platform to gloat. I think that for years it's been the most. I'm a Tim Duncan guy. I like Tim Duncan. I thought matchup wise this was a good series for the Heat. I was proven wrong. This is the largest margin of victory for 4 wins in the finals in the history of the NBA ever.
Like, you look at it, the Heat on paper. You look at it, they should have put up a better fight. They had someone in Mario Chalmers that could force Tony Parker to run around and exert energy.
Yeah, but Mario Chalmers forgot how to play basketball. We got to point that out too. At some point,
and it's so like you can't explain what happened between game 5 in Miami against Indiana and game 1 of San Antonio. What happened to Mario Chalmers? This is not the guy that I saw bring them back with LeBron James last year.
They say the guy that's
get your mind right. Mario Chalmers has always been Squeak Scolari out of the movie Basketball.
Real obscure ass.
Very early on in the movie, Squeak says, "If you guys rag on me about 13 more times, I'm out of here." I think sometime between the Indiana series and the Spurs series, LeBron James finally pushed Squeak to the breaking point. But he wasn't there for the series. Then Dwayne Wade was not there for the series. So any advantage that Miami had on offense, not named LeBron James, was already gone by the time the series started.
Gone. Chad,
and if you take no, go ahead.
Chad, when was the series over for you? We talked about this before we started recording. When did you say the series was just over? It was a wrap.
Man, I had feelings about it in Game 1 because it took an excellent LeBron performance in Game 2 to win. But I would say by probably maybe start of the 4th quarter of Game 3.
Yeah.
I don't know, you never really got the sense that the Spurs were doing anything less than toying with them.
Oh, see, that's what kills me is that Game 3. You saw these blowout games last year. None of those games were close except for the last 2. Like there were teams that got it. Once you got ahead, it was like, well, we ain't getting in front of them. We're gonna rest our guys from the next game. Justin, you're a fan. You've watched this team all year. You've watched them for years. When was this series over for you?
Honestly, the series was over. Like, I knew San Antonio was going to win it after Game 2 because in my mind, I'm like, there's no way San Antonio is going to play this terrible again. And even if LeBron maintains this level of greatness, that only got them, a 2 or 4 point victory. And LeBron James had probably one of the best playoff series I've seen from him. He was doing amazing things. He dropped in Game 3, he drops 19 in the quarter, and the end result is they get outscored by 5 for a 24-point lead. Like, there was literally, I have not seen this level of frustration from Bron since Cleveland. Like, he was doing everything. He was defending. He was rebounding. He was facilitating. The only thing he didn't do was resuscitate Dwayne Wade's knee on the court.
No, that takes me back to my next question. My real question for y'all is, where did Popovich get a time machine to turn the 2014 Heat into the 07 Cavs? Because if Larry Hughes had jumped on the court, I'd have been like, well, that makes sense. Where's Varejao?
There was an article on Deadspin that proposed that the 07 Cavs were better than this year's Heat. And after the series, I'm not so sure that I don't buy that.
I don't buy it for the season-wide, but for the games 3 through 5, I'd love to see the numbers stacked up because it was more for someone who was, if not emotionally, fiscally invested in the Heat. It was hard to watch, just because you want to know to do more. And the thing is, the things they were being successful with in those small spurts, they got away from too early. Like Bosch cutting the rim. Why wasn't Bosch
Yes.
cutting?
There was a game.
Why wasn't Chris Bosch cutting more?
There was a game. Bosch only had 12 touches, and their answer to that is fine. Give him 7 touches in the first quarter and never go to him again. I was like, you have the formula. Chris Bosch forces Tim Duncan to come out because he's that good of a shooter. You know exactly what you're supposed to do. You're choosing not to do it, and it confuses.
The Heat put away their Game 2 win, which again was their only win of the series, with Chris Bosh attacking Duncan off the dribble and dropping it off to D Wade.
No, you're right. It looked like the Spurs game plan was let LeBron come in and race back out the shooters, and if you just switch it to being Bosh, it changes the whole dynamic because now the guy who's fronting him isn't Kawhi Leonard, it's an old Tim Duncan. And for what it's worth, Tim Duncan looked great, but an old Tim Duncan in space, I want to prove to me you can still do it. I'm not going to assume you can do it. I want to see it over the course of like a half, not an 8-minute spurt, not a beginning of a game. I want to see you call Bosch's number. This is a guy who's primed to step up as the second scoring threat for this team if they keep the team together. We're going to get to the Heat later. But let's go back to the biggest question here for me is one of legacy. I got an argument with a Lakers fan today, one of my best friends, but he said that he puts Pop behind Phil and Red. I said that Pop just passed Phil, in my book, for me, because of the longevity and how he developed players while he was there. There's no Kawhi Leonard on Phil's resume. The players he got there, he fit him in and he made him work. You've watched the evolution of a player over the last 4 years in Kawhi Leonard to where we've got an NBA Finals MVP. Justin, what's the legacy of this first team? And is it over? Are we going to see this? Is this team going to get better next year? That's a crazy question. But what's the legacy first? What's the legacy of this team?
See, it's crazy because it's not just Kawhi. We've seen Tim Duncan grow up under Pop. We've seen Tony Parker grow up under Pop. We've seen Manu Ginobili. Manu Ginobili was J.R. Smith before J.R. Smith. He was YOLO. No, he was YOLO 3 before J.R. Smith ever came into the league. Like, I remember a time Manu would get the ball, my pulse would race like, no, this can't be happening. This can't be happening. This can't be. Yep, there it goes. So it's crazy how he just takes all these pieces and develops and nurtures them. So the argument of Red or Phil, it's basically, all right, what do you value more? Do you value consistency? Do you value someone that can sort of stick with a franchise, build the franchise, adapt the franchise to not just what he wants to, but to the climate of the league? Because really, once the handshake rules came in, the Spurs changed. Once the rules started getting more shooter-friendly, the Spurs adapted and changed. They weren't this sort of grindhouse style that we see in Memphis now. They evolved into what the Phoenix Suns wanted to be, but never could quite get there. So if you value that, cool, you can put Popovich above Phil. But if you just value someone that can come into a situation, take different pieces that may not necessarily fit what they want to do, but still get what they want out of it, cool, you can go with Phil. But I would personally go Pop because Pop didn't have Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal and Pau Gasol.
Yeah, no, I agree wholeheartedly. Chad, what do you see as the legacy for this Spurs team in general and Pop in particular?
I mean, longevity is the key. I mean, Tim Duncan's now won titles in 3 different decades, which is
insane.
It's nuts. But, I mean, back to the point you just made there, you know, you talk about guys like Gary Neal last year fitting the mold and becoming a productive player. Danny Green, who was cut by the Spurs twice, cut by the Cavs twice, was probably, you know, at least the 5th or 6th best player on the court all series. Patty Mills did nothing in last year's finals and was a major, major factor both all year and today's. And that's just and Pop's done it, like you said, in so many different ways. I have trouble picking against Pop. I mean, Bill Russell won a couple of titles with the same Celtics teams that Red Auerbach won, and I don't think we're mistaking Bill Russell for one of the best coaches of all time. I don't know if I don't want to overstep my boundaries. Pop might be the best coach in NBA history based on how he has been able to adapt players, develop players, and adapt his style based on the league's rules.
See, and I want to argue, but I don't have a leg to stand on because I took the Heat in 6. So I got no one's going to listen to me and believe anything I say. So my credibility on basketball is shot for at least a year. Let's go down to one more thing about legacy. So I've heard Tim Duncan described as the bridge player between Jordan and LeBron. We can kind of agree LeBron's the best player in the NBA and will be for the foreseeable future, just overall game. But the argument comes, was Tim Duncan or Kobe Bryant more the bridge player? And I think with this ring, I don't think there's a question anymore. The question now is who gets bumped from your top 5 all time? Because I think Duncan's there. For me, and I'll put myself there first, my top 5 goes Russell, MJ, Magic, Bird, and then Tim. And I bumped Kareem, and I've been talked to about that today. But I think that when you win a title in '99 as a rookie, and then you win in 2014 as still not just a piece, but as a key piece.
At 38 years old.
38 years old, with putting up exact same per 48 minute numbers that you did as a rookie and at your height, I can't sit here and say that he's not one of the 5 best players ever.
This isn't a Gary Payton ring pulling one sitting on the end of the bench with the 06.
Yeah.
No, this is not a Gary Payton ring.
I mean, that comparison doesn't hold water for a second, except for the fact that they both happen to play basketball. That's where the similarities end. I mean, Duncan is without question the best power forward of all time.
He's a center. That's the other thing that kills me is the power forward argument. The man's been a center since David Robinson retired.
But he's a guy who's got a mid-range jumper. He can facilitate an offense. I mean, offensively, he's a center or a power forward. I'm sorry.
He may have played center, however,
here we go.
He plays both. It's basically, all right, which matchup gives him the best look? Against the Heat, we started Tim at the 4, Thiago at 5. And that frustrated Miami until they said, fine, F it, we're going to go small. And it's like, okay, cool, we'll just move Tim back to center. You're not really hurting us here. So power forward, center, whichever one you want to call it, he's been both. And you could make the argument that he's the best power forward or the best center, like at any given moment. So in terms of just what he's been able to do in the bridge player, he's definitely more of the bridge player than Kobe, if not because we've had LeBron versus Tim Duncan 3 times now.
And that's really gets you to is the legacy, the finals legacy, and the fact that he's beaten LeBron twice, and also the fact that it's a sustained consistency. I can't remember the Spurs have never not won 50 games since I was in high school.
They've always finished at least second in that division. And because we were, you may want to say, robbed of a Lakers-Cavs finals, which would have been horrible.
Horrible basketball.
Maybe as bad a blowout as the Spurs gave the Cavs, if that ever happened. But you have that sort of narrative, sort of like you have Ali Frazier. You have to have the heavyweights go at each other, not once, not twice. You got to have the heavyweights, sort of decide once and for all, okay, whose league is it? And when Duncan Spurs beat the Cavs in 07, there's a moment where Duncan goes to LeBron and says, hey, this is your league now. I hope you understand that. This league is yours. That was the true passing of the torch moment. And if there's one thing that Tim Duncan does, he is adamant about mentoring the younger NBA players. Roy Hibbert works out with him every summer.
I wouldn't have dropped Roy.
Yeah, I'm pretty
Well, results aside, he's trying with Roy, and we see flashes from Roy. But he and Chris Paul do a camp every year, the Wake Forest connection. He is adamant about making sure that he's leaving the league in good hands. That is something Jordan and Kobe will never do.
No, you're right. You're 100% right. I still have no leg to stand on or make any prescient comments about because I was so wrong about this series. So let's move on to the other side of the bracket. The team that let me down that may or may not have cost me enough money to make me angry, the Miami Heat. Let's start because I want to get this out of the way. The irrational sports fan is saying LeBron can't win the day one. This is a guy who went out and put up a greater percentage of his team's points, rebounds, and assists than anything I've ever seen in the finals. I know this isn't a fun place to be, but let's defend LeBron for 2 seconds against the straw man that says he has no heart and he can't win the day one. Justin, I'm going to go to you first because you are the Spurs fan of 5.
I'm a Spurs fan, but I'm also a basketball fan. There was a graphic out today that said LeBron James scored over 38% of the Miami Heat's points in this series. Like it went LeBron James 38%. The next leading person was, I think, Rashard Lewis at 10 or something.
Rashard Lewis was the second leading scorer on a team in the NBA Finals.
There's your first problem.
That is the first problem. And the notion that, we can't win the big one. Look at all right, Cleveland is a gimme. You can see the trash he drug with him to the finals in Cleveland. And that was when the East was still legit. They ran through that was the year they ran through Boston and Detroit?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And he drug that trash fire to the finals. And then the Mavs, Spoelstra against Rick Carlisle is not fair. And like that was one we all really should have seen coming, because Rick Carlisle does not get enough credit as a coach.
That's true.
He is second or third best coach in the league. Like it will go Pop, Doc Rivers, and Rick Carlisle tied for second.
Mm-hmm.
And that was Spo, first year with all these guys. Rick Carlisle basically abused me, said, I know your star players' tendencies better than you know them, and I'm going to put him in positions where I know exactly what he's going to do before you know what he's going to do. And that's what he did. When Bron gets double-teamed, his first instinct is, okay, cool, I'm double-teamed. Surely one of my teammates can help me out and make this shot. Oh, no, that's not going to happen. Or they sort of clog his favorite passing lanes. They know where he likes to pass and what he likes to do in certain situations. It was just brilliant coaching. And then, he finally gets a good team, a good supporting cast. That Thunder team was just outmatched. And that Scott Brooks was in the position Eric Spoelstra was in 2 years ago. And or last year. It was just bad. And then, dare I say, Spoelstra made Popovich blink last year. When he had convinced... he convinced Popovich, maybe I don't need Tim Duncan out there on this last possession. And that changed everything.
Oh, man.
Like, I don't think, as a unit, that he got enough credit last year for what they did. It wasn't just LeBron. That whole team showed up. That coach, the adjustments spoke. I may not agree with Spoelstra's game plans before a game, but he is pretty damn good at making in-game adjustments.
I'll tell you what, I agreed with the benching of Mario Chalmers. I will say this.
But see, here's the thing, you bench Mario Chalmers, you saw there was no one left after. It was Mario, Norris Cole, and now you're trusting Dwayne Wade to bring up the ball. And Danny Green was playing excellent defense this whole series.
I'll tell you what, when Dwayne Wade took that three at the top of the key and then Spo pulled it a minute later, I was like, that's right, sit him down. Explain to him why you don't take that shot. Chad,
what I want to see, here's what I've just realized needs to be the move. Everybody opts out from the Heat.
Oh, here we go.
And they re-sign LeBron and Chris Bosh, and then they make a couple other shrewd signings, and they say, "Oh shit, Dwayne, sorry, we forgot to budget for you."
You opted out and then don't.
That's how you save the Heat. That's how you save the Heat.
We'll get to saving the Heat. Chad, you and I have been friends for a while now. LeBron series, do you think there's anything you could have done extra?
What more can you possibly ask him?
I want to get it on record that we all agree that if LeBron James had, let's call it, two more functional NBA basketball players, this is a tighter series.
I mean, let's say yes, you're right, but if LeBron could levitate, this might be a tighter series. He almost can. He can almost do that, and we still don't have a chance at seeing the Heat come anywhere close. So, no, I mean, it was just terrible basketball from the Heat, great basketball from the Spurs, and I feel genuinely bad for LeBron James for the second summer in the past 7 years.
Yeah, and you say what more could LeBron have done?
Yeah.
I mean, he could have put up the 70 he was on pace for last night, and they might have only lost by 10. Like, and it's not just LeBron either. The moves Spo was making in game were technically the right moves. Like, okay, cool, I'm gonna go small. Tony Parker, you have to defend somebody. Oh wait, my 2 point guards are trash. Okay, fine. I'm going to put Udonis Haslem down there because he's a defensive presence. Oh, wait, Tim Duncan's not like 9 inches taller than him, and Haslem can't score. Crap. Like, everything he was doing would have worked with a different player.
And that's the thing. I think that's what you said about LeBron's predictability against Carlisle a couple years back. That kind of worked against him here because LeBron and I joke about this, he might be the perfect basketball machine, and that he may not do what you want, but he makes the right basketball play. And if you know
Every
what the right
time.
basketball play is, you can get in front of him, especially if the guys around him aren't good enough to execute that play. And that's what we saw this year. That's what we saw in 07 when I had to make Larry Hughes jokes for at least 4 games. My next question is going to go to that supporting cast. I personally have the belief that you need to start working in Bosch more and work him in the post more as a legitimate second option. Is Dwayne Wade's days as a starter, is this one of the situations where it's over? Like, I know normally I say that perimeter players, when the wheels fall off, they're off. When Iverson lost it, it was gone. When Chauncey lost it, it was gone. When Gary lost it, it was gone. But Manu Ginobili gives me pause because last year I would have told you that Manu just had a Wade series. Like he had an incredibly bad series last year, and he's bounced back. Do you guys think it's within Dwayne Wade to bounce back and maybe be a sixth man or a more reliable option next year?
Dwayne Wade's always been a slasher. That's the difference here. I mean, Manu's at least got the jumper, got the pull up, everything to fall back on. Dwayne Wade doesn't have that. So, like, an intelligent basketball person would say, I don't want to build a team where Dwayne Wade has to be a prominent figure in it.
But the Heat are about to be in a position where they have to, because I don't see Dwayne Wade walking away from $40 million, which if he opts in is it's close to $40 million. That's what he's going to be owed.
Yeah.
So the Heat are about to be put in a really bad position because Dwayne Wade's not leaving money on the table.
And that's what kills me is that I think that this postseason is going to directly affect what could have been the most, well, not most fun, but a prominent basketball dynasty in our lifetime. And say what you about the NBA, everyone says, "Oh, I hate super teams." When there's a good team on top, more people watch, more casual fans watch. It attracts attention, it captures the imagination. Is this the end of the Heat? Because, like you said, I don't think Wade opts out because there's no way he's getting that money to anyone else. So unless Phil's on the market, Phil Jackson up in New York, he's got a lot of money and no one telling him no.
Well, there is one active NBA owner that just extended a guy named Kobe Bryant for $24 million without
I have
assurance that Kobe Bryant
told my fair share of Little Bus jokes this year. I'm going to back off of Fredo. Let him escape this podcast unscathed by me at least. Justin, is there any way? Do you think there's a way to integrate Wade? Like you said, like the money's going to be on the table. He's not going to leave it. But my question is, this is a group of guys who've proven to be unselfish in the past and taken the cuts they did to get here. They've proven the ability to work together. They've all sacrificed their numbers. And I think really Wade's more than anyone realized that, oh, I'm the other guy now. Do you think it's within him to – because I think physically I think he's done. I think the slashing, the things that made Wade is over. Do you think he has it within him to take that step back and maybe evolve into like a Manu role? Or is he going to be one of those Kobe Bryant guys who literally dies on the court shooting jumpers when everyone else is open?
Here's the thing, though. With his skill set, do you really want a slasher off the bench? Like, just look at Dwayne Wade's skill set and how he plays basketball. His whole thing is predicated on getting contact. Do I need that coming off of the bench? And so I think the Heat are about to come to a point where they realize maybe we don't need Dwayne Wade. And if he thinks that they're ever going to reach that decision, he's going to opt in, and that limits their options. The only guy under contract is Norris Cole. Everyone else has that opt out or their contract runs out. So, I mean, yeah, if you get Bosch and you can try to rework Bosch to sort of say, hey, you know that big shot Bosch, we liked it, but it kind of cost us this year because we don't know how to use it. So if you can develop a post-game at age, Bosch is 29, 30?
That's the thing, he has a post-game. Like, I watched him in Toronto, and I was, fortunate enough, I guess, I don't know, to be tertiarily watching Georgia Tech basketball when he played. I know he can play in the post. The guy can score out of the post, and his height and the range adds to it. My question is it going to be you're going to see Spoelstra and them abandon that style of ball? It kind of they were the ones who said we can go small and win a title. They're the first ones to really do it. What Popovich said was, "Oh, you want to go small and win a title? I'm going to go to my lab for a year and build 20 lineups that match up with you and eviscerate everything you want to do." Chad, is this the end of small ball in Miami? Are we going to see a more traditional set? You think?
I mean, they could be the most dangerous offense in the league just with a LeBron Bosch high-low. I think we've failed to appreciate how good of a basketball player Chris Bosh is. And I think that if Chris Bosh becomes the Robin on this team, there's still a chance for the Heat to be right back in this position next year.
Chad, are you ready to make your the point you've been making for literally, I think I've known you, 4 years now? The same point you've been making for 4 years about LeBron James, what he needs to be doing?
LeBron James needs to be the full-time point guard.
There it is. 4 years.
It could work. It could work.
We were roomy.
Why wouldn't it work? He did it in high school.
That's what I'm saying. It could work. I mean, especially the way the Heat are constructed. Now, look at the first quarter of Game 5. When Bron was actually bringing up the point and facilitating, that moved Kawhi Leonard. And when you move Kawhi Leonard, it opened things up for other people. So, yeah, it can work. And let's keep in mind, if they get matched up against the Thunder instead of the Spurs, we're having a completely different conversation today. Because the Thunder aren't built to defend small ball. And that's what Popovich figured out late.
And I have no comeback for that because, again, I picked the Heat. It's a scarlet letter I'm going to wear. For at least this podcast, I can almost guarantee I'll be back to my normal cocky, annoying self on Saturday. But so far, I have literally nothing to come back with.
Contrition from Daniel Palmer is such a welcome sight.
So
I don't even know what
I want everyone listening, write it down. This is a big day for y'all, not me. Well, I guess my last question is going to be, because it's a fun rumor, I don't think it's actually, if they all opt out, they figure out a way to get Carmelo on this team, are we having the same discussion here? Because I don't think Carmelo, and I hate addressing because I think it's a stupid rumor, but does Carmelo address any of the reasons why they just lost?
No.
To this team, no. However, Carmelo Anthony does address an offensive need that Dwayne Wade may not be able to fulfill in the coming years.
That's the conversation no one's having yet, is that though Carmelo coming in, they're like, how would he fit with these three guys? I'm like, why y'all?
Pretty damn well, actually.
Why y'all include Wade, man? Why y'all so safe in thinking Wade's coming back like this, man?
Like, it doesn't help them against the Spurs, but the Spurs are one team out of 32.
That's true.
So, again, like I said, let's say the Thunder somehow slip past the Spurs, and they get matched up against the Heat. This is a completely different conversation because they do different things, and the Thunder aren't equipped to defend the Heat the way the Spurs were. And so you bring in Melo, you get more offensive firepower, you can lay off of Wade and not rely on him so heavily, and maybe then he can come off the bench the way Manu does. But you kind of have to change your philosophy. Yeah, here's the but. That small ball thing you were running dies if you bring in Melo.
Yeah, it's over. It's a
wrap. Well, imagine trying to figure out a way to defend a small ball Heat team with Melo, with Bosh at the 5, Melo at the 4.
Oh, God.
And then let's just, for fun, go back to my hypothetical of LeBron at the 1, and then just two guys who can shoot threes out of the corner at the 2 and the 3.
And you have to move your big guys out there to defend them, so you have to pick your poison. How do you want to die? Do you want Bosh running threes on you, Melo running threes on you, or LeBron James cutting against your undersized point guard or wing defender?
That extends Dwayne Wade's effective career by another year or two because he can still probably take a one-on-one off the dribble with no help.
No, he can't.
Hold on.
Wait. Did I just try to lie to myself? Okay.
He might be able to. Against someone like Manu Ginobili, because that one series where Dwayne Wade was functional, Manu was guarding him.
Just killing Manu, but yeah.
But they moved Danny Green to him, and Dwayne Wade looked mighty. Flash looked like Barry Allen. Flash turned into Barry Allen very quickly.
It was a wrap. Well, thanks you guys for coming on the podcast and making fun and making me feel real good about my pick. As always, for Dude Podcast, check us out. Check out the site, dudeyoucrazy.net. Find Justin LJ90 on Twitter, Chad_Floyd on Twitter. I'm at DPalm66. We'll be back this week with at least, I know we're having the hangover on Saturday, try to work another World Cup pod. But as always, check us out on the site, leave 5-star reviews, iTunes and Stitcher, and please subscribe. Thanks for coming on, guys.